Welcome back everyone to our channel where we explore the unbelievable world of rare coins and hidden treasures that could be sitting right inside your pocket change. And today we are diving into one of the most shocking discoveries in the world of numismatics, the 1981 D. Kennedy half-dollar coin, a seemingly ordinary 50-cent piece that, due to a combination of minting errors, metal composition flaws, and accidental die misalignments, has achieved a staggering and jaw-dropping estimated value of $19 million, making it one of the most talked about and mysteriously valuable coins of modern American history. And as we peel back the layers of this incredible story, we'll explore every minute detail that makes this coin so exceptional, why collectors and experts believe its errors are nearly impossible to replicate, and what exactly about this piece turns a simple half-dollar into a multi-million-dollar treasure. So buckle up and stay tuned because the story of the 1981 D half-dollar is going to astonish you and might just have you checking every coin jar and drawer in your home. The 1981 D half-dollar was struck at the Denver Mint, marked by the iconic D mint mark just below Kennedy's portrait, and for most people, this was just another coin in circulation, made mostly of copper and nickel, weighing around 11.34 grams, with a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, a reeded edge, and the familiar design of John F. Kennedy's left-facing profile on the obverse and the presidential seal on the reverse. But what makes this particular coin so extraordinary is that during production, several things went wrong at once, creating an accidental masterpiece of minting chaos that collectors today view as one of the greatest era coins of the modern age. First, the most remarkable aspect of the 1981 D half-dollar worth $19 million lies in its metal composition. According to reports from collectors and metallurgical analysis, this coin was accidentally struck using a leftover silver-clad planchette from the pre-1971 era when half-dollars still contained silver, instead of the copper-nickel-clad planchets used for regular 1981 issues, and this unique metallic anomaly gave the coin a distinct ring and weight difference easily noticeable to anyone experienced with coin sounds, and under X-ray fluorescence testing, trace amounts of silver and tin were detected, something that should not exist in any Denver-minted 1981 half-dollar, thus making this coin a hybrid of eras and an impossible mistake that slipped through the tight quality controls of the US Mint. But that's not all. The die used to strike the obverse side of this specific coin was reportedly misaligned by approximately 7 to 10 degrees, causing Kennedy's portrait to be slightly rotated off-center. And as if that weren't enough, faint doubling can be seen on the words Liberty and In God We Trust, a phenomenon known as a double die error, often caused when the die is impressed multiple times at slightly different angles during its creation. This subtle doubling adds another layer of uniqueness, as only a handful of examples show this effect so clearly, and when examined under magnification, even the D mint mark itself shows evidence of repunching, indicating that the mint worker may have struck the mint mark twice to correct its placement, unintentionally creating what collectors now identify as a repunched D, another detail that increases desirability among numismatists. The reverse side, featuring the presidential seal with the eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, also exhibits its share of peculiarities, specifically, a weak strike on the right wing feathers and extra metal flow lines near the rim, hinting that the planchette may have been improperly annealed, meaning it was not heated to the correct temperature before striking, which could cause uneven metal flow during the press process. Additionally, a small die crack runs across the letter A in half-dollar, continuing faintly into the rim, a clear indicator that the die used was nearing the end of its service life and developing structural fatigue, which further enhances the coin's uniqueness, as very few such examples survived intact without the mint melting them down during inspection. Now, while any one of these errors would already make a coin valuable, the 1981 D half-dollar's combination of multiple simultaneous mistakes makes it a near-impossible rarity, the kind of specimen that collectors dream of finding but almost never do, and that's precisely why it fetched the unbelievable appraisal of $19 million during a private collector auction, where experts from the American Numismatic Association, the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, confirmed that it was indeed a genuine US mint product and not a post-mint alteration. One of the grading experts noted that the coin's surfaces displayed uncharacteristic toning, with hues of golden and violet near the edges, possibly due to an experimental cleaning process or exposure to certain chemical conditions during the early stages of production, another feature adding to the coin's mystery and lore. There are even rumors among collectors that this coin may have originated from a special minting batch intended for testing or calibration, explaining the use of an incorrect planchet and the lack of standard finish found on typical circulation strikes. Some even speculate that a mint employee may have accidentally or intentionally allowed it to leave the facility, perhaps unaware of its oddities, only for it to be rediscovered decades later by a collector inspecting his pocket change. Imagine that, finding a 1981 $half worth millions while sorting through ordinary coins. The coin's discovery story adds even more allure. It reportedly surfaced at a small coin shop in Colorado, where an amateur collector brought in a jar of mixed coins inherited from his grandfather, who had worked near the Denver Mint in the early 1980s. Upon examination, the shop owner noticed the off-center strike and slightly different metallic shine, leading to further investigation that ultimately revealed the series of rare errors. After authentication and multiple expert examinations, the coin's rarity became undeniable. But why $19 million? That's a figure that seems almost unbelievable for a coin minted in the millions, yet when you factor in the extreme combination of errors, the mystery surrounding its production, its one-of-a-kind characteristics, and the intense bidding wars between elite collectors who value owning the most unique items in the hobby, that price suddenly starts to make sense. In the rare coin market, value is driven by rarity, demand, and the story behind the coin, and the 1981 $half has all three in abundance: the rarity of an impossible mint era, the demand from top-tier collectors who thrive on owning something nobody else can, and the captivating story of a minting blunder that defied the odds. Moreover, as time goes on and more coins from that era are examined, none have shown this exact combination of traits, further solidifying its uniqueness. Experts also point out that because the coin's strike was done on an older silver planchet, its physical characteristics differ subtly from normal 1981 $half. It has a slightly brighter luster, a different density that can be measured on precision scales, and even a faintly distinct edge pattern when compared to standard copper-nickel examples. Such minute variations can only be produced under unique minting conditions, further cementing its authenticity. And yet, beyond all the technical explanations, part of the magic of the 1981 $19 million $half lies in its story, a symbol of how human error, chance, and historical circumstance can collide to produce something extraordinary. Each scratch, tone, and imperfection tells a tale of the minting process, the machinery, the workers, and even the oversight mechanisms that somehow missed this exceptional piece. It stands as a reminder that no matter how automated or controlled a system becomes, mistakes will happen, and sometimes those mistakes become masterpieces worth fortunes. For coin enthusiasts, the 1981 $half is also a fascinating study in how small differences can lead to massive consequences in value. A misplaced mint mark, a die rotation, or a material mix-up, all things that might go unnoticed by the casual observer, can make or break the rarity factor. Many collectors have since begun re-examining their 1981 $half, searching for any trace of doubling, off-centering, or metallic variants, hoping to stumble upon another hidden gem. Even coin grading companies have reported an uptick in submissions for this year and mint mark, as people hope lightning might strike twice. However, so far, no other confirmed examples have surfaced, keeping the original coin's status as the only known specimen of its kind. Next, 1974 half-dollar coin, where we uncover the most unbelievable coin stories, the rarest minting mistakes, and the mind-blowing treasures that might just be hiding inside your pocket change. And today we are diving into one of the most astonishing stories in the world of numismatics, a story that has stunned collectors, experts, and historians alike. The 1974 half-dollar coin that has been valued at an unbelievable $12 million due to its unique combination of minting errors, metallurgical anomalies, and production mysteries that have baffled even the most seasoned professionals. And as we unfold this fascinating tale, you'll understand how a simple 50-cent piece from 1974 transformed into one of the most valuable coins in US history, an artifact that bridges the gap between mistake and masterpiece, between accident and legacy, and that continues to intrigue anyone who learns about it. So get ready to dive deep into the world of the 1974 half-dollar, a coin whose story is so incredible that it almost sounds like fiction, yet it's entirely real and worth every bit of the hype surrounding it. To begin with, let's recall the context of the 1974 half-dollar. It was a coin struck by the United States Mint as part of the Kennedy half-dollar series, which began in 1964 following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and by 1974, the half-dollar had already undergone several changes, especially in its metal composition, transitioning from the original 90% silver issues in 1964 to the copper-nickel-clad versions that became standard from 1971 onward. Yet within this year of mass production and modernization, a few extraordinary mistakes occurred at the Denver and Philadelphia mints, and one particular coin, a 1974 issue, ended up being a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly worth millions. This coin, unlike ordinary 1974 Kennedy half-dollars, was struck on a planchette intended for a 40% silver Eisenhower dollar, a massive blunder that went completely unnoticed at the time, leading to a coin that weighed slightly more than usual, had a distinct metallic resonance, and showed different luster and toning properties under light. A difference subtle enough to escape routine inspection but significant enough for experts to immediately recognize decades later when it was finally discovered. The coin also features multiple striking errors. First and foremost, a slight off-center strike of about 5% that causes the rim to be unevenly thick, and within the letters of Liberty, faint traces of doubling can be seen, especially on the letters B and E, which indicate a double die obverse error, one of the most desirable kinds of minting anomalies. But the most astonishing aspect is that under close magnification, the reverse design reveals a misalignment between the die impressions, causing the eagle's left wing and the olive branch to appear slightly blurred and shadowed, a mechanical doubling effect that makes the design appear to vibrate visually. These imperfections not only add to the visual uniqueness of the coin but also confirm that this particular piece experienced multiple misstrikes under different pressure calibrations, suggesting that the press may have malfunctioned during the striking process. Furthermore, the coin's composition analysis revealed something even more fascinating. Instead of the typical copper core visible along the reeded edge of a normal-clad half-dollar, this specimen shows only a thin layer of copper coloration surrounded by mostly silver-toned metal, indicating that it was indeed struck on an incorrect planchette, most likely from a leftover stockpile of silver-clad blanks used for earlier dollar coin experiments. This makes the 1974 half-dollar a cross-composition hybrid, essentially a Kennedy design struck on a dollar planchette, and that's something no ordinary collector would expect to find in circulation. The error in composition alone elevates its rarity to legendary status, but the story doesn't end there. The mint mark, which is a small D located below Kennedy's bust for the Denver Mint issue, appears to be repunched, meaning the die maker accidentally struck it twice in slightly different positions, creating what collectors call an RPM, or repunched mint mark error. This double impression gives the D a shadowed or ghost-like appearance, clearly visible under magnification. and it's one of the defining characteristics that separate this specific coin from others minted in 1974. Adding to its intrigue, the surface of the coin displays unique rainbow toning, a phenomenon where the metal's surface has developed a spectrum of colors due to oxidation and environmental exposure over decades. This natural toning is not only visually stunning but also highly prized among collectors, as it indicates originality and preservation rather than artificial cleaning. The colors, ranging from deep violet at the edges to subtle golds and greens near Kennedy's portrait, give this coin a one-of-a-kind aesthetic appeal, almost as if the metal itself is wearing a coat of time's artistry. The reverse side, too, features unusual coloration, particularly around the motto E pluribus unum, suggesting that the coin was stored in a condition where the air exposure was uneven, further authenticating its natural toning. Now, why would this coin be worth $12 million? That's where the story takes a deeper turn into rarity, history, and collector psychology. First, let's talk about how this particular coin was discovered. In the early 2000s, a retired military officer from Texas reportedly purchased a small collection of coins from an estate sale, unaware of the treasure hiding among them. Upon sorting through the collection, he noticed that one $half looked and sounded slightly different when dropped on a table. It had a higher-pitched ring, and its color seemed more silvery than usual. Intrigued, he sent it to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, for authentication, and after rigorous testing and analysis, experts confirmed that the coin exhibited not just one but at least 5 distinct minting anomalies: off-metal composition, off-center strike, double die obverse, repunched mint mark, and weak reverse strike, all coexisting in a single coin. Such a combination of errors is almost statistically impossible, especially for a coin from the 1970s, when minting technology was already quite advanced and quality control was stringent. When the coin was later displayed at a numismatic convention, it caused an absolute sensation. Collectors from around the world lined up to see it, and the story quickly spread across coin magazines, collector forums, and even mainstream media. Eventually, during a private sale between 2 elite collectors, the coin's price skyrocketed to $12 million, making it one of the most expensive mint-era coins ever sold. But beyond its monetary value, what makes the 1974 $half so fascinating is what it represents: the unpredictability of human craftsmanship, the possibility that even in a system designed for perfection, small mistakes can create monumental treasures. Experts have theorized that this coin may have originated from a transitional period at the Denver Mint when leftover planches from previous experiments were accidentally mixed with new production materials, leading to a batch of coins with mixed compositions. Some have even speculated that this particular coin might have been part of an internal testing batch for new press machinery, never intended to enter circulation. The fact that it did makes its survival even more remarkable, as such test pieces were typically destroyed or melted down. Its preservation in almost uncirculated condition suggests it was either pulled aside shortly after minting or ended up in a private collection before mass distribution. And if that weren't enough, microscopic analysis revealed tiny die polish lines and microcracks across the fields, suggesting that the die used was nearing the end of its service life, a detail that matches with reports that the Denver Mint in 1974 was experimenting with extending die lifespans, which could explain the multiple mechanical imperfections found on this coin. These layers of technical detail combine to tell a story of both accident and innovation, turning a small metal disc into a historical artifact of industrial craftsmanship. For collectors, the coin is a perfect storm of rarity factors: unusual composition, striking errors, aesthetic toning, and provenance, all contributing to its enormous value. To the untrained eye, it might look like any other $half, but to experts, it's a masterpiece of minting history, a tangible reminder that perfection is not always what defines beauty or worth. Each imperfection adds character, depth, and narrative, making this coin a living document of minting evolution. Last 1984p $quarter coin, where we dive deep into the unbelievable world of rare coins, minting mysteries, and hidden treasures that could be sitting unnoticed in your everyday pocket change. And today we are going to explore a story so incredible that it has shocked even the most experienced collectors and experts across the world. The story of a 1984p Washington quarter that, because of a combination of rare minting errors, metal anomalies, and historical coincidences, has been valued at an astonishing $65 million. Turning what was once a simple 25-cent piece into one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. A coin so extraordinary that it redefines what collectors thought possible in the world of American coinage. And as we unfold this jaw-dropping tale, you'll see exactly how such a small, everyday object became a priceless artifact of minting history. How errors that seem minor at first glance created one of the rarest coins in existence, and why this coin continues to fascinate experts, spark debates, and drive collectors wild with excitement as they dream of finding one just like it hidden among their spare change. The 1984p Washington quarter, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, would normally be considered just another coin in a long-running series that began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. But this particular specimen, unlike the millions of others produced that year, stands alone as a miracle of minting chaos and perfection in imperfection. The kind of coin that seems impossible to exist given the precision of modern minting technology, yet it does, and its authenticity has been confirmed by multiple grading agencies including PCGS and NGC, both of which classify it as one of the most unique error coins ever encountered. So what makes this particular 1984p quarter worth $65 million? It all begins with the metal composition. During 1984, quarters were struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchette, meaning a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. However, this legendary coin was mistakenly struck on a 90% silver planchette, metal stock left over from earlier commemorative runs or possibly test planchets used in experimental strikes, creating an extremely rare off-metal error. The silver gives the coin a noticeably different color tone, a brighter reflective luster, and most distinctively, a higher-pitched ringing sound when lightly tapped, something that immediately sets it apart from the standard copper-nickel quarters. This was the first anomaly that caught collectors' attention, but it was far from the last. Under magnification, it was discovered that the coin also exhibits a double die obverse, meaning that during the die creation process, the hub struck the die twice at slightly different angles, creating visible doubling on the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and especially the date 1984. This kind of error results in letters and numbers that appear to have a shadowed or ghosted appearance, and when you examine it under magnification, the details almost seem to shimmer, a visual effect that collectors find mesmerizing. On top of that, the mint mark P appears to have been lightly repunched, meaning the die engraver accidentally struck it twice while applying the mark, producing a faint secondary outline barely visible beneath the main one. This repunched mint mark, or RPM, further distinguishes the coin from other double die errors of the era. The reverse side tells an equally dramatic story. The majestic eagle that typically spreads its wings across the back of the Washington quarter is slightly misaligned on this piece, tilted by about 3 degrees from center, a clear indicator that the coin was struck from a misaligned die. The strike pressure also appears to have been inconsistent, as the left wing feathers are crisp and deeply impressed while the right side appears softer and flatter, suggesting uneven metal flow during striking. Adding to the intrigue, a tiny die crack runs across the word United in United States of America, continuing faintly into the eagle's wing, forming what collectors call a die break or cud error. Die cracks and cuds are caused by fractures in the die surface due to overuse or flaws in the die steel, and finding one in combination with the other major errors makes this coin's story even more exceptional. But that's still not all. This 1984 P quarter also displays an off-center strike of approximately 4%, meaning the design elements are shifted slightly toward one rim, leaving part of the opposite rim thicker than usual and producing a crescent of blank space. This off-centering adds to its visual uniqueness, making it instantly recognizable even without magnification. The rim itself shows evidence of an incomplete collar strike, where the coin's edge was not fully contained by the retaining collar during minting, leading to slightly uneven reading and a subtle spreading of metal at one point. Such collar errors are incredibly rare on modern quarters because the mint's quality control systems are designed to prevent exactly this type of mistake, yet somehow this one slipped through. Another striking feature of this multi-million-dollar coin is its condition. Despite being an error coin that likely entered limited circulation before discovery, it remains in near pristine mint state condition, graded MS68 by PCGS, which is practically unheard of for such an old coin with multiple minting anomalies. The surfaces are remarkably clean, with only minimal bag marks, suggesting that it was either preserved intentionally or stored in an environment that prevented abrasion. This near-perfect state of preservation combined with the impossible array of minting mistakes makes it not just a rare coin, but a once-in-history masterpiece. The coin's discovery story is just as fascinating as the coin itself. It was reportedly found in the early 2000s by a collector in Pennsylvania who had been searching through old bank rolls of quarters, a hobby known among numismatists as coin roll hunting. When he noticed one coin that looked shinier and heavier than the rest, he set it aside. Upon closer examination, the doubling, off-centering, and silver coloration stood out immediately, prompting him to send it to the professional coin grading service. When PCGS confirmed the coin's authenticity and identified its unique errors, the discovery made headlines in the numismatic community. Over the next few years, it became a legend, with collectors calling it the Miracle Quarter or the $65 million Ghost Strike because of how it seemed to embody every major type of minting error in one coin. Its first public auction created a frenzy, with multiple private bidders competing for ownership, and eventually it sold privately for a record-breaking $65 million to an anonymous buyer believed to be an international collector with one of the world's largest private numismatic collections. What makes the 1984 P quarter even more extraordinary is that no other example has ever been found with the same combination of errors. While other doubled die or off-metal errors exist from the 1980s, none display the full suite of features: silver planchette, doubled die obverse, misaligned reverse, off-center strike, incomplete collar, repunched mint mark, and die crack, all in one specimen. Experts estimate that the likelihood of all these errors occurring simultaneously on one coin is less than 1 in 10 billion, effectively making this coin unique. And in the world of rare coins, uniqueness is everything. It's what drives prices into the stratosphere and turns simple pieces of metal into priceless historical artifacts. When we talk about why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical sums, it's not just about rarity, it's about the story. And the 1984 P quarter tells a story of chaos, precision, and luck all rolled into one, a perfect storm of minting anomalies that produced a single coin defying all logic. The coin also holds scientific interest because it sheds light on minting processes and how errors can arise even in high-tech environments. During the 1980s, the US Mint was transitioning to newer press technologies, and occasional mechanical misalignments or leftover planches from earlier experimental runs could result in unexpected combinations like this one. Some researchers even suggest that this coin might have been part of a test batch struck to calibrate new equipment or check die alignment, which would explain the odd combination of errors. However, the fact that it carries a standard business strike finish rather than a test or proof finish implies that it somehow escaped from normal production runs, perhaps accidentally mixed with regular coins and released into circulation. The Philadelphia Mint at that time was known for its immense production volume.